My name is Iye Alawode, and I'm your host today on The Edge Live. So, to answer the question about Torilo is a tech company based in the UK with a presence in Nigeria. Last year, we launched our all in one business tool, the business management suite called BizEdge in Lagos. And my colleague Derry will tell us more about it. Hello, Derry.
Yeah, hello, EA. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Derry.
Yeah, so my name is Darren. I work at Torilo, Nigeria, and last year we launched our all-in-one tool, which is a business management app that helps businesses optimize their business processes and make them work smarter. I was supposed to run a demo run us through the application. However, I'd like to ask to defer that for a bit while we continue the webinar.
So, just one rule before we continue, so we can keep everything organized and clean. If you have any questions or comments during the presentation, please type them in the chat box. They will be responded to during the question and answer time. Okay, our speaker today is a human resource support for micro, small, and medium businesses. She's the founder of Reposebay HR. She's a business leader with over 12 years of experience building, working with, and managing teams in sectors such as oil and gas, e-commerce, tourism, technology, and hospitality. Her business certifications are from the Society of Human Resource Management, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Education Standards, 21st Century Workplace Management, Human Resource Professional License, and an MBA from the University of East London. Like I said earlier, she's the founder of Reposebay Human Resource Limited, the Ready Job Seeker, Tasmi Tech, and Minri Foods. Kelechi loves to read and write, and when she's not providing strategic human resource services for SMEs, she helps clients write and present information properly on their CVs, professional profiles, and company profiles. Without further ado, shall we welcome our speaker for today, Kelechi Abiri. Kelechi, I think your mic is
Yeah,
on.
my mic was muted for a minute. Sorry. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm wearing my own BizEdge t-shirt. Thank you. Uh, I would like to get right into it real quick because we have limited time. So before I go into it, I'll just say a few things about what I will be discussing this afternoon. So the topic is recruitment and retention. And to go into this topic, we need to understand the realities of this period we are in. We're in the pandemic era. We're not out. We thought we'll be out by now, but it happens that we're still in the era. And then we need to understand what matters to employees in this era and what HR leaders are doing in this era and how HR leaders are doing it in this era when it comes to recruitment and retention. Okay, so I'll just go quickly into the pandemic era. We all know that the workforce in general has changed. So there's so many motivational factors that used to be in the workforce before, but those factors have some and priorities have changed. So we're now in the era called the Great Resignation. And so when you hear the Great Resignation, that means there is no retention. That means there's a voluntary attrition rate of the workforce, as opposed to other eras where we had involuntary attrition rates when people lost their jobs and people try to keep their jobs. Right now we have a Great Resignation. So people are not even crazy about keeping their jobs. So that shows that the motivational factor has shifted. And according to a survey by Gravitas Plus, so in the United States alone, 4.3 million people quit their jobs. And 40% of these people said they were quitting due to burnout. Another 20% said they were quitting due to lack of flexibility in the working hours. Another set of 16% said they were quitting due to work-life balance. So we can see that the priorities have changed. So before now, people were willing to work, even pride themselves, oh, I work almost 18 hours a day. So now people are not crazy about all of that right now. People are interested in work-life balance, reducing burnout, and having flexible hours of work. So some of those people that quit their jobs, 40% of them went back to the working environment because of remote work. Some were offered remote work and flexible work, and so they returned back to the working environment. And we as HR leaders, we already know that 40%, when you hire people, 40% of the guys you hire within the first 6 months are willing to change jobs. And another 60% of those same guys, or another 50% of those guys, are passively looking for work. So they're just like, oh, my CV is in my laptop. Do you want to see my CV? And all of that. So we have to be more intentional about how we plan to keep our employees engaged. So some things about the pandemic era we've seen is more emphasis on hybrid work. So people that some companies have introduced hybrid work. So companies that cannot afford to do totally remote have offered hybrid work. So people are able to come in a few days in a week. And so that kind of arrangement sort of gives a flexible working hour for the employee. And then in this pandemic era, we've also seen the need for upskilling and reskilling. Okay, so your job that was so, for example, I'll give a typical example of a person that their job was just to open doors for clients. In this era now that we're in, you have to do so much more than that. You have to be able to, if you're opening doors, you have to know how to use electronic, or should I call them infrared temperature check. You need to know how to use, how to portray yourself in the most hygienic way, and how to give or offer people sanitizers without offending them. Oh, please use your sanitizer. So your job role is now a bit, there's some additions, and then some areas you need to also upskill, or even totally, some roles have become irrelevant. So those are the realities of the pandemic. So we also have another reality called the workforce health. What does workforce health mean? It means feelings of inclusion. It means people want transparency from management. Are we going to lose our jobs? They want you to communicate better. They want management and leaders to communicate better the realities of so everybody, there's now a huge emphasis on well-being of the workforce. The workforce, the toxicity that was in the workforce now has to be somewhat reduced, because nobody is willing to be in a place that is toxic. Everybody is now conscious of their mental health and all of that. So these are some of the things that the pandemic era has emphasized. So a lot of employees want to feel understood and valued. They want to be paid for the value they bring into the company. That's why you see a typical set of people, social media managers, those are one set of people that don't want to even work full time now for one company. They want to feel more valued, so they stretch themselves and work for multiple companies. So these are the realities. Okay, and now there's a mounting pressure on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So there's a huge pressure on that. Everybody now wants to feel included in the workforce. The LGBTQ people, the tribes in Nigeria, everybody wants to feel included in the workforce. And anywhere, so it all goes back to the workforce health. Anywhere people feel unappreciated, they don't want to be there anymore. So what can HR do now to sort of be up to speed and manage these expectations? Okay. So we have to be big, we have to be more accountable, big on accountability. Okay? We have to be big on ownership, driving innovation. Okay? Executing business transformation in a hybrid work environment can be challenging because you feel sometimes when you feel that employees are working from home, you feel that they're lying on their bed, but that's not the reality. A lot of people even work more from home, like do a lot more work from the comfort of their home. So you need to have that mindset change that when you ask people to work from home, they're not actually sleeping. And then you have to put in parameters to make sure that you're able to keep them engaged and also make sure that they're able to also have their rest when they need to have their rest. So you need to be able to support hybrid work model, okay? And it all starts from the recruitment and the onboarding. So your first 90 days as an employee is now more vital than ever, because if we're saying that people are more appreciative of hybrid work, then you as HR should know how to integrate them into the business objectives or into the business system easily. You should be able to know how to onboard them in this hybrid environment, okay? So we have to have a more dynamic approach to managing skills. So for example, when you see that the business objectives are shifting, you have to know how to manage the skills you have in your workforce so that you're not, that's what they call effective workforce management, so that you're not stranded. So you know how to transition people into the proper skills that the business needs to grow. So to foster long-term workforce resilience, you must also be able to put in workforce management systems or appraisal systems where you're able to do not just the usual once a year or quarterly appraisal. You're able to give your workforce appraisal on the go. Okay, that's another way for your workforce to feel appreciated. That's another way for them to feel that they are adding value, because I mentioned earlier that the employees want to feel valued. So there's a value element to being engaged that employees have now discovered, especially in this pandemic era. Okay, so you should also have know how to manage a diverse workforce. So one thing I'll mention, or I'd love to mention, is that talent is now global, is not local anymore. So there are so many guys in Nigeria that are working for companies in different parts of the world, as far as Australia, 9 hours away. There's so many employees now working for those kinds of businesses that are not even in Nigeria. So your talent pool now is more global than local. Okay. So the rewards you give employees now speak to their emotional needs, must speak more to their emotional needs than just monetary needs. So there's emphasis again on the value that you place on the employees in this era. So I'll just go into a big part of what we as HR managers should look out for. And that's what I call, or what everyone knows as, HR analytics. Okay, it enables HR leaders to develop data-driven insights to inform talent decisions and improve workforce processes and promote positive employee engagement. So HR analytics or data helps you to make informed decisions. Now, you're making your informed decision should start from your recruitment process. So there are so many data that can inform your recruitment process. So we have the cost per hire, we have time to fill, we have time to hire, yield ratio, appraisal information, and all of those things, background verification, even from degree certification. That's another data that we need to look at. People's skills, not just from their CV. So usually when you send your CV, you're actually sending your CV to the recruiter to tell the recruiter the things you want them to know about you. But the recruiter's own business is to know what value you can bring to the business. And that's by asking you the relevant questions. So when you ask people the relevant questions to your business objective, you're gathering data that you should be able to use to make an informed decision. So even from your hiring process, I like BizEdge, for example, the kind of app they're building is going to help us understand the data of the workforce. Okay, you're going to be able to understand so many information that may have taken for granted in the workforce, and this information is going to help you make decisions on how you want to recruit in the future or how you want to retain your workforce. Sorry, 1 second. Yes, so big data is now relevant in human resource management. So we're now going into the era of not just demographics, but psychographics. So marketing guys, they've caught on to it earlier on before us in human resource. They've started to use psychographics. So we've seen the use of psychographics, for example, during the Facebook and Cambridge Analytica scandal. We saw the use of psychographics on voters. So the psychographics is not a bad word. It's not even a wrong thing to do, even if marketers use it to make us make decisions that we shouldn't have made ordinarily. But these same psychographics can be used in human resource management. You should be able to know the interest of your workforce. You should be able to know so for example, in the workforce, we find various generations in the workforce. So we have the Gen Z, we have the millennials, we have the Gen Y or millennials, we have the Gen X, and then we have the baby boomers. Now, these guys all have their various interests. So if you're running a workforce or if you're running a business that requires more of Gen Z workforce, you should you should be able to understand their psychographics, their interests, the things that they appreciate. You should be able to understand it through psychographics. How do you gather data for psychographics? Simple, can be through questionnaires, it can be through surveys, and it can be through benchmarking. I'm sure we have a lot of professionals on this call, so they sort of know the English, the meaning of what I mean by benchmarking, surveying, and and interviews to gather data. So you don't assume that you know what the workforce needs or what your workforce needs. You actually make that decision by asking relevant questions. So whatever your survey or your interview, you should be structured in such a way that you are able to get information that is relevant to your business objectives. So why do you need to understand the different generations? It's just simple. It helps you to plan better. It helps you to plan your workforce management better, your succession planning better. And so you know the kind of skills that are relevant to the various generations in your workforce. So let's bring some data home. So for the World Economic Forum has said in Africa, that Africa will be the fastest growing continent because of its youthful population. So 40% of the world's young population is in Africa. So what does that mean for us as human resource professionals in Africa? Is that the world will come and fish our talents. So there's now people, we've now seen it a lot in like nursing, in the medical field. A lot of countries have offered, and they've offered, especially the UK has offered ways for Nigerian talent to come into the UK and work. You can see from the data, because a lot of the world's young people are in Africa. So if you, as a human resource professional in Africa, are unable to attract and retain talent, you find them in other parts of the world, not working for, not even contributing to your continent, but contributing to other people's economy. So you need to think of it that way in terms of your employment branding, your employee value proposition, your workforce management, and of course your HR analytics. Those are the things that would inform your decision on how to retain relevant talent. So talent is the key word here. So a lot of people will tell you that a lot of people are not very employable in Nigeria, which is true in some sense because we've had a decline in our educational system. But talent on its own are people that have developed themselves, that would have applied themselves in their industry and have become not just they're no more, they've left anything mediocre and they've become excellent in their field. And those are the kind of people that the rest of the world will keep grabbing from us in Africa. And before you know it, they ask you to fill a role and it will take you months and months to even find the right person, because a lot of those talents are either working remotely for a company in America or Canada, or are even in the America, or even gone to America, or even gone to the Canada to start working. So we need to be aware of that. How we position ourselves will be our employment branding. How do you become the employer of choice for this young talent to actually be interested in working for you? So an important concept that we need to bear in mind is a concept by Steve Hunt. Steve Hunt is a very, very interesting human resource professional. He has a lot of concepts and a lot of thought processes that are very, very interesting and relevant in our day and age. So he calls this concept the 4 R's. And these 4 R's are the right people, right way, right things, and right development. So like I said earlier, HR analytics will help us get the right people. Employment branding will help us get the right people. Strategic workforce management will help us get the right people. Now, how do you make them into the right? How do you keep these right people engaged? That would be your performance management system, your value proposition, and your total rewards. Well, most of us on this call are human resource professionals, so I'm sure we understand what I mean by performance management and employee value proposition and total rewards. So how do you do the right things as an organization? You make your organization a learning organization. So how do you become a learning organization? Back to data. You allow data drive the way, you allow data lead the way, you allow your workforce, you learn from your, what will I call it, from your previous failures in your recruitment, and then you know how to make those changes in your recruitment process so that you are, so the first goal is to attract the right people, and the next goal is to keep them engaged and keep them retained. Okay, I've mentioned some of those ways to keep them engaged in our previous discussion, but I'll still go back and just emphasize a few things. Okay, so proper succession planning, learning and development will help you keep your workforce retained or keep them engaged. So a lot of people like to learn. If you attracted talent in the first place, talent means that they are also people that are knowledge driven. So if you attracted the right talent, it'll be easy for you to upskill. It'll be easy for you to reskill them as you go along. So that's basically what I have to discuss, but I'll just go back and emphasize a few more things when it comes to retention. So like I said, people want to feel valued. People want to feel valued with their work. People want to feel, people want to be skilled in their work. They want to feel that the company is interested in their career development. So more skills are needed in the workplace, like people say this thing that technology will take jobs away from us, but what technology is going to do is to make it compulsory for you to be properly skilled. So it's not going to take jobs away from people. It's just going to make you, because whatever software you bring in, people still need to learn how to use it. So that means skilling and reskilling and upskilling is very, very necessary. Okay. So to engage your employees again, remember the term called workforce health, relevant, giving them relevant, not just monetary rewards, but relevant rewards. Okay. And then, of course, being diverse and inclusive in your thinking and helping on employees feel valued with the work that they're offering the business. So thank you. I did not want to take too much time. I hope I did a good job staying on time. And I'll be very, very glad if you can ask questions when EA gives us the permission to ask questions. Eh?
Okay. Thank you very much, Kelechi. That was enlightening. That was awesome. That was great. So, if we have any questions, we can ask. We can ask in the chat box, or we can take live questions also. So, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, and then you can unmute to ask your question.
Yeah, so nice presentation, Kelechi. Was really insightful. One question I'd like to ask though is in this challenging time for companies, especially startups in sub-Saharan Africa, with the brain drain and stuffs going on between the Western world and Africa. So, what is the best approach for companies to retain their staffs um, or to prevent such brain drain, especially for in-house talents that they already um, employed, basically.
Okay, so if I get your question right, is you're saying that in this era of brain drain, um, how do businesses retain talent? And another thing also about this talent is that sometimes these businesses would have trained the talent in a specific way, and then in order for them not to leave, um, yeah, is that's basically your question.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so what I would say about this is you have to do your part as the employer. To be honest, you can't really, when it comes to people leaving, there's, there's, you can't control them, but you can sort of control how you deliver your own part. So one of the biggest example in this period is that people don't want to feel burnt out in their jobs. And the very best way for you to do that is to offer sort of, first of all, like what I said about HR analytics, gather data, know what matters to your workforce, and the kind of people that you want to even attract in the future, what matters to them. So I gave an example of people wanting hybrid work, people wanting reskilling, people wanting workforce health, people wanting to feel more valued. People want more diversity and inclusion. So those are the basic things you can do as an employer. You can put in place a way to check the pulse of your workforce. What matters to them per time? What are they interested in per time? What sometimes it's not money. A lot of employers are afraid to ask that question because they think that people will ask for more salaries. It's not all about more salaries. In the pandemic era, especially, it's not just about salary, it's about value, it's about feeling less burned out, having a work-life balance. People are leaving jobs now for simple reason as, oh, the hours are not flexible enough. So if that matters to your workforce, try and put that in place. But you must first ask them what matters. You must also benchmark your offerings with your industry. So if you're in an industry where maybe I'll give like if you're working in a consulting industry, for example, there are rewards and reward system that are common to this industry. And if you as an employer are not offering, if you're not offering that kind of reward system, you will not be able to keep your workforce. They will keep going to your competition. So you need to know what is the relevant reward happening in your industry. What's the relevant way relevant things offered to people in your industry, and you keep that in mind when offering rewards. So salary and all of these things are not just enough. You need to go a step further to know what matters, or what motivates my employees at this very time.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelechi. I think you did justice to the question. Okay, somebody is asking in the chat. Okay, that is Sheon. Sheon is asking that, can you give more insights on employment branding? Yes,
Employment
okay.
branding it happens in different forms. So it's just like every other branding. What are you saying about yourself, and what do people perceive about you? What people perceive about your brand, and what are you saying about your brand? So for example, there are businesses that they have very, very nice adverts when it comes to job posts. But when you go in there, it's a different ball game. And if you ask people in the company that, oh my, I saw your company is hiring you, can I apply? Some people in that company will say, I beg, oh, just stay where you are. This place is hell. Don't even come here. So what are people saying about your company, and what are you saying about your company? So you can be saying something else about your company, but the perception is off. So how do you know the perception of people when it comes to your brand? That's the common question. How do you know the perception of people when it comes to your brand? So that's where you have to pay attention to your data. What kind of people do you attract when you put out a job post? Is it written in such a way that a real talent will be put off? So there's a way you see a job post, a job description on a job post. You see things that, let's say they want an accountant, for example. They say an accountant that can, let's say, for example, they put the most ridiculous thing, an accountant that can run errands, go and buy, that knows how to buy this and that. That's not what a professional accountant wants to do with their time. They want to do proper accounting. So if you're using proper accounting lingo, like, oh, you should be able to use Sage, you should be able to use QuickBooks and those type of things. You're using the proper things a proper talent wants to see in a job post. Then you most likely you're going to attract the right person. You're going to attract the right set of people. But if you have so many, if you want one person as your gatesman, florist, and what else, nanny, you might not attract a talent, because it's not a specialized. You're not asking for someone with a special kind of skill. You're asking somebody that is basic. So those are the things that you use in you check what kind of people come into your candidate pool when you advertise, and then give them a good experience when they come into your office. What's the perception? If they come for an interview, what's the perception of your office space? What's the perception of your office space? Does it look like a place that even you yourself would like to work as a person? If you were an employee, would you like to work for your own company? So that is the simple way of answering that question. How do you perceive your brand? How do you want people to perceive your brand? And how do people actually perceive your brand? So you can also do sort of like a pulse check through surveys, or through after people do your interview, you can send out a survey to sort of understand if they enjoyed the process, or if the process was not even what's the word now? It was not. You didn't give them a purposeful experience when they were interacting with your brand. So even if you're going to tell people, oh, you can't work with us, how do you tell them you can't work with them, or they can't work with you? How do you pass that message across as a professional, or as a company that should be admired? So those are the basic ways to sort of be intentional about your employment branding.
Okay. Somebody's asking, how do I recruit and retain a loyal and hardworking staff?
Okay, so you recruit and retain a loyal and hardworking staff through proper leadership. Even you as yourself, you need to check your leadership skills. So leadership is what? Influence. Do you have enough influence to make people motivated and do the right things? So a lot of people do entrepreneurship courses, but a lot of people don't do leadership courses. So leadership is even more important than being an entrepreneur, because you can be a leader in anything you do. Even self leadership is very, very important. Loyal staff, loyalty can be through some of the things I mentioned earlier. You need to sort of know what is important. You can buy loyalty by knowing what is important to your staff members and then tying it back to your business objectives. So when you know what is important, you do the things that are affordable to you as a business owner, and you do the things that are that will bring you closer to your business objectives as a business owner as well. Um, like I said, it's gone past monetary offerings. People are looking for so much more than money. People are looking to belong, looking to feel valued. How do you value your employees? What is your appraisal system like? What is your performance management system like? You need to check all of those things to ensure that you are attracting and retaining the right people. Like I said, you might not be able to control how people leave you, but if you've done the right thing to an extent, you can predict how things will become, or the outcome of your employee engagement.
Thank you. So Iyonoluwa is asking, she says, hello, Kelechi. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
Please share
you.
some insights into how I can effectively manage employees working from home and ensure that I get value from them.
Okay, yes, I get this question a lot. How do you manage employees working from home? So your workforce, the kind of people in your workforce also matters. What generation are they in? Are they in the Gen Z? Are they millennials? If they're millennials, I believe that they are somewhat mature to an extent. Not saying that I'm not saying that they are babies, but I'm saying they are newer when it comes to the workforce. When it comes to the world of work, what you expect from an experienced person is somewhat different from what you would expect from an entry level person. So if you have mostly entry level, what because I think that's like the point of the question, where if you have a young workforce or a new workforce, how do you make sure you get value? You put in what I call you give them like purposeful tasks. So they should know why they're needed, you should know what they're needed to do per time or per week. You can give them a roadmap for like a week. This is just a practical way. You give them a roadmap for a week and say, okay, this is what the business is trying to achieve this week, and these are the things that you need to do or need to put in place. And you put in place a reporting system. How do you get feedback from them after their day's work? Are you going to go the route of weekly reporting, or are you going to go the route of having a system where you can just fill in a quick um, feedback or report to line managers? You need to put in that kind of system, how they report, and they need to have a purposeful work. So you need to have a roadmap that is purposeful. So you need to have like agenda meetings where you've already set or it could be agenda meetings, it could be emails where you've already set out what the company is trying to achieve for the week or for the month, and how they tie into those things that the company is trying to achieve. Because like I said again, people want to feel that they are bringing in valuable work, so that their work is being valued. So if you give them an overall, a general goal or objective that the business is trying to go for or trying to achieve, they should be able to see themselves, they should be able to see themselves in that objective, and the role they play in that objective. They need to be able to see what role they play, what specific role do they play in getting to that goal. And so how do you make them see it? Through proper communication of the goals. I hope everyone got that.
Yes, I think they did. Okay, somebody's also asking. Okay, this is from Abiola. It says, how does salary transparency affect employee retention?
So salary transparency is a tricky thing. Um, so what I would say about that is you should have like a broad, what would I call it, a band, a salary band per role. What I mean by salary band is have a range in mind. Even when employees come to interview, let's say for example, I'll give an example. I had interviewed a personal assistant. The salary band for that role was 100,000 and was a remote job. But this person came and was pricing herself below the salary band of 50. She was saying she could do the work for 50,000. Now, to a lot of employers, have saved 50,000, but you've not really saved 50,000 if you actually had a band of 100,000. You should be able to, if the person has the skills or matches the thing that the job requirements, if the person matches the job requirements, you should be able to pay them that salary band. Now, as regards transparency, if you do not have a proper salary band, if you're just giving people what they negotiate, um, within the employees, sometimes these things, the people find out that one person is being paid more or one person is being paid less, and that can be a demotivation for the person that is being paid less and doing the same work um, according to um, according to their own perception of their work. So first of all, to have a salary band, you must have done a job analysis. You need to analyze everything that job requires, from the skills to the education and to the competencies. That's the knowledge, skills, and competencies and abilities that that role requires. When you've done your job analysis, you now have a salary band around that job analysis, and make sure that you stick to your salary band so that when you are offering somebody 50,000 and you're offering the other person 100,000, they sort of understand why there's a difference in their pay, because maybe one person is more skilled, or one person knows a thing or two about technology that the other person may not know. And so there needs to be that conversation, and there needs to be that conversation within management, and also understanding amongst employees that this is, even from when they are being recruited, that this is the salary range or salary band for this role based on the job analytics of this role.
Okay, I think this will be our last question, because I think it requires a lot of explanation. Okay, it says, I'm an HR manager. How do I improve as one? I think person asking for steps to be better at his or her
Okay.
job.
Okay, so to improve as a HR manager or as a HR leader, you need to belong to a HR community that is relevant to your profession or your industry, the human resource industry. You need to belong to a HR community, and most times you belong to some of these communities by actually maybe getting certified. So I know that the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, to belong to such a community, you might actually have to have been certified by them. So you need to be hungry for knowledge. So for you to get certified, that means you're somewhat hungry for knowledge and you want to get better. So you need to get certified. Belong to When you get certified, participate in. So some people belong to, for example, CIPM, and they don't participate in their branch level. So you need to also try to participate in your branch level. I know sometimes as HR professionals, we get very busy with the administrative and operational parts. We're not a lot strategic about our own personal development, because we are being carried, should I say, carried away by all the day-to-day tasks. So as a HR manager, you need to be thirsty and hungry for knowledge. You need to belong to a relevant community. You need to be very, very intentional about your development. So, and you need to love technology in this HR, in this HR space that we are in now, post or pandemic era. Let me not say post-pandemic, pandemic era. You have to love technology, because technology is the only way you can innovate with your hybrid workforce or your remote workforce. That's the only way you can be in touch with them. That's the only way you can keep them engaged, through the use of technology. You need to like technology. You need to like analytics. You need to know how to read data and understand data, and go after data. So when you're making a decision, don't make a decision from your feelings or your emotions. You need to make decisions from your data. What does your data say about your recruitment process? What's your time to fill? What's your time to hire? What's your yield ratio? What are those things that you need to know in order for your business objectives to be met? So the data that, and you need to also have a business acumen. So a lot of HR managers are not invited to like management meetings where you have like the marketers, the head of marketing or the head of technology and all of those kind of things. You have the CFO. Sometimes they don't invite HR managers to this kind of meetings because they feel that HR is more like a cost, what do I call it? They're more like a cost department. They don't really impact the bottom line. But we need to change that narrative by having a business acumen. You should be able to bring in things into the business that would develop the business and grow the business. You need to have a business, you need to understand the industry trends. For you to be able to contribute to that industry, you need to understand the trends. You need to understand what is relevant to your industry. And once you can understand it, you can sit on the table with your board of directors or your management or your executive management and be able to impact or bring relevant suggestions to the business, because you understand the industry and you took out time to understand the industry. So what I'll say in a nutshell is be hungry for knowledge.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Kelechi. I learned a great deal. Even somebody in the comment section is saying many thanks, Kelechi. Very
Thank
insightful. The
you.
person says is holding on to know what matters to your workforce, check the pulse of your workforce, benchmark offerings with your industry, act and align on the data gathered from the points above. That was really, really insightful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And I believe many of us will begin to apply what we have learned today to improve the level of productivities our employees provide. So it was really, really awesome learning
Thank
from you
you.
today. And I hope we can do this again sometime.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and many thanks, Kelechi, for that insightful presentation. Before we go, I'll just like quickly show us app that we've been working on, and we launched somewhere around November last year, which is a suite of apps for growing businesses. That is BizEdge. BizEdge mainly is a suite of apps of HRO, combined HRO management application, asset management application, fee management, payroll application, and document generation softwares together to deliver and value and optimize business processes across every arm of the business operations, basically. So I'll be running a quick demo to show us what BizEdge is like on the app level. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, Jerry.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So basically, building the application, we had certain things in mind, which Kelechi also mentioned during our presentation. Um, but one of them was basically about um, data, gathering data, so we and automating business tasks. So basically, on here we have the people management software, which gives you a full on the dashboard gives you a full presentation of your overall operations on the HR level. You can see people who are out of the organization on leave or remote work, for you to also have visibility on your remote workforce depending on your staff strength. For organizations with over 100 staffs and maybe a couple are on remote work or everybody, which is something that would be nice. And you can see who are celebrations, work anniversary, and birthdays, which we believe these gestures are nice when they are prompted. Everybody within the organization are prompted about birthdays so that they can give shout outs to one another. And basically, we also have people list of people within the organization. At this part, you can see a list of everybody you have within the organization, have their organizations, their the employees' data at a full glance. Personal information, next of kin information, and definitely job information alongside banking information. You can view their time of history, benefits, training, assets that you have assigned to this particular employee. Basically, so that you can do well with dropping Excel spreadsheets, and then you just have your data organized in one place, including documents that you have passed on to the employee over the course of employment. And also, you can manage time off within the organization using the BizEdge People Management app, where employees can request for time off on their own portal. HRs just get to approve or decline the request based on the current situation of things at the moment, and then you can view people out who are going on leave. I believe this will be very helpful to managers to manage the work structure within a period of time, so that probably certain people shouldn't go on leave because maybe someone else is on leave and stuff like that. So you plan your tax structure and all. Then you can see out of work those who are out of the organization, and then definitely you can create your own time of policy, and that's the organization offers. So basically, this time of policy is where what the employees will be applying to. So you have the time of title, the numbers of days that this time of offers within the year. If it's a paid time off unpaid, and the policy basically be starting immediately, and then definitely the time off can roll over. And all these are based on they're flexible, so it fits every organization standards. And also, one thing that I think Kelechi was mentioning, which was nice, is also benefits that organizations offer to their employees, whether educational benefits, whether HMOs or pension and stuff like that. You can also create them on here, and your employees can have clear visibility on not just their role, on their compensation, but also the benefits and time off available to them, and even training for. You can set up training for staff development, and then whilst adding employees, you can onboard the employees, and to onboard the employees, basically, you can just set up the resumption date of the employee, set up the time of resumption, and then which branch the employee will be reporting to, and then which person within the organization should be contacted once the employee gets to the office. Then you can add the tasks for different people within the organization, whether to prepare laptop, arrange decks and stuff like that. And then you can upload documents, which is probably the company policy and contract of employment and sort of, which once you save and send, the employee will get all this information, first information in their mail, and the tax and documents will be sent to their MyEdge portal, where they will register to the MyEdge account, see their information, and then the documents, which helps them get started within in the organization. So I believe that adds to the feel and the reputation of the organization. For most employees, you get this vibe of wow, this is quite nice and stuff like that. And basically, we have this launched out, which is the first version of what we have been building. But subsequently, we are also working to improve on our own what we've done already, which will be adding the report, which will give HR's data to view and munch on, basically the turnover reports, and where they can understand the average length of service for every employee that's come and gone, and how many employees leave and stuff like that, which will give them pure visibility on their retention of staff. Also, they will have their employee counts and gender distribution for gender equality, where they can measure that quickly, and age distribution amongst a few others. We're also working at the moment on performance management application for feedbacks and reviewing organization goals or personal goals for employees, and also the recruit part of the app where where HRs can hire staffs and give them that presence in there. But besides the HR app, we also have the payroll application for running payroll seamlessly without using basically without using spreadsheets to give AM payroll officers the ease of doing this process, and then asset management fleets, and amongst a few other things that we've been working on. Our goal basically is to help HRs automate tasks and gather strategic insights, and become more data led, and improve their employees' development, as well as give employees role clarity, have more visibility about the organization's policy, better understand their own performance, where they can improve on it, and increase the engagement between HRs and the employees, and provide a better structured development for these employees, and opportunity for feedbacks. I believe this app as a whole will help them coordinate the team effectively, basically. This is the Bizedgeapp. It would be nice for HRs on here to jump on the app, sign up using the URL up here, bizedgeapp.com, and register to get a feel of what the app looks like on the inside, and then see for yourself how amazing the app is.